Howdy do, buckaroos. MTG Orzo here with something a little different. When I was making all these fucking Captain Sisay videos, it was just getting harder and harder to find games. So I decided, I'm like, alright, so we're gonna get all the Sissy stuff done. But I'm gonna get back trying to play some multiplayer Magic. And you know, I was looking at new cards because I think I explained that I have no idea what Ixalan or Rivals of Ixalan has to offer, but it does have this guy, which is an Elder Dinosaur in the water. So it's pretty much the coolest thing in the entire universe. So I built a deck around him. This deck is not competitive. It's fun, I think. It's not competitive. I mean, it's got like 10 6 drops. So that's a sign of quality right there. It is a sea monster themed deck. It's a pretty easy archetype to come across. It's not tribal. Hold on, I think I'm missing a card. Where's Quest for Ula's Temple? I just realized that I didn't have that in this deck. Did I buy it? No. Huh. Well, never mind. So I don't have that card. This card isn't tribal sea monsters. It's like sea themed. So there's lots of subpar cards for the concession of having a fun theme. Let's talk about her generally, guys. It's Nezahal, the Primal Tide. Can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size, and you get to like do a weird Mystic Remora. So he's like he is the Mystic Remora of yesteryear. And then you can discard 3 cards and do like that Pearl Lake Ancient. What was that mythic rare from Khans of Tarkir? That was like the blue-black control finisher. Pearl Lake Ancient. Oh, he's a 7/7. Like, he's scary. Like, this deck could very easily be like a Lorthos deck, which is what this deck was when I owned it in paper. I still own it in paper, actually. It's one of the decks I still have that my fiance and I can play with. She has the, what's it called? I got her the cat deck and been teaching her how to play that way. Well, yeah, let's go over the deck. We got 38 lands. Most of them are not interesting. We've got Academy Runes because it's underwater. And we can get back. I mean, we have some artifacts that we'd like to not lose. Most of them are ramps, so keeping those is, you know, sometimes not terrible. Blighted Cataract. It's got water in it. It draws you cards. Coral Atoll. It's a sunken ship, man. It's not a good land, but it's got really cool art. Helmar Depths. It's underwater. Islands. It's probably not the best art, but it was the art that I had the most of. Lonely Sandbar. Cycling land. Reliquary Tower is underwater, I think. Sphenulite Temple. Another underwater land. It's very bad, but it's very cool. And Temple of the False Gods. When I put this in the deck, I meant to pick up the one with Kiora in it, but I didn't, and I cannot be fucked. So that's why that card's there. Alright, so 1 mana Flood. Look at this card. This is a new card that was released with Commander. Well, it's an old card, but it's a new card for Magic Online that was released with Commander 17. And you can do like the Cephalid ability where you tap creatures without flying. It's a nice thing to do with your early turns since we don't have a lot of early threats. High Tide. So, you know, we can get more water out of our water sources. Opt, because it has a pirate on it. And when this deck started as 1v1, Opt was in because I couldn't run Ponder or Preordain. If I had the Underwater Ponder, it would be better, but I don't. So I, again, cannot be fucked. Am I still recording? Yes, I am. Sorry, you'll see later, but I've been having problems with my screen recorder staying for as long as I need it to, and obviously that doesn't work. Into the Royal is Water Cyclone. Merfolk Looter, one of my favorite commons, and it's a Merfolk. Like, I know Merfolk's got a big boost in, like, they were never really good in Commander, but I think they have tools that get them closer now, which might be an interesting deck idea. But there are Merfolk card arts, and there are Merfolk, but this is not a Merfolk deck. Sigiled Starfish. Yeah. This is the kind of quality card that we are putting in this deck. It's a 2-mana 0/3 that you have to tap and scry. Again, it's something that in multiplayer you can put out, which de-incentivizes attacking with little dudes and gives you incremental advantage. So that's not terrible. It's a Starfish. Counterspell is probably a water version of this card that I could have got, but I didn't, so I have this one right here. Flooded Strand, or Flooded Shoreline rather, which is very similar art to Flood. Visions. It's a neat card, though it is high investment. So this is like a late game card. Hold on, Flooded Shoreline. Wait, can I do the window? Come on, how do I do that? Hold on, I'm sorry. Show preview pane? Yeah, okay. Okay, that's actually much better. We might start doing that now. So, Flooded Shoreline is nifty in that you have to pay 2 blue mana, but also return 2 islands. So you probably return the islands that you tapped to activate this ability, and you get to return a creature to its owner's hand. So it's a good, like, it's not crazy, like, repeatable. It's not like, what's that card? The like draft card whenever you cast a spell, you return a permanent to their hand. I don't, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a lot of early de-incentivization to getting hit, and it also can save your butt. We've got Homerid Spawning Bed, which is a New Zuri secret tech. One of my favoriteest old cards. You get to take one of your blue monsters that's probably about to die to a Doomblade, and you get to make tiny little monsters that are little lobster people. So it's pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. That's the only measure of a card that really needs to be said. Is can it make little lobster dudes? And most cards do not. Most things in the universe do not make little lobsters. The ones that do are special and should be cherished. Next up we got Sapphire Medallion. Coming in pretty hot. It's a good little incremental ramp card for our lots of blue spells. 3 mana we got Cephalid Looter, which is a little squid person that Merfolk loots, but you can also target someone and they can be your buddy, because that's what everyone wants to see in online multiplayer is politics. Chasm Skulker, just because it almost makes little lobster people, but it does not. It makes squid creatures, which, to be fair, is pretty good too. Mana War is a jellyfish that, I don't know, unsummons. It's great. It's a fucking awesome card. Retreat to Coral Helm. It's like a city of coral, so it goes in the deck, and it does things. I guess it can untap land, or it can untap creatures, or tap creatures when you play a land, or it can scry, so more of a theme card than anything. We've got our God of the Sea, Thassa. We have Thirst for Knowledge, because seawater will make you more thirsty, because God has a crazy sense of humor. Polymorpher's Jest, because, I don't know, you can imagine that I'm turning them into, like, not frogs, but they'll be frogs, don't tell anybody. Quicksilver Fountain, one of my favorite cards in mono blue, because it just really pisses some people off. So basically you can just, like, slowly flood their lands and turn them into islands, and then when every land on the battlefield is an island, they all go back and it starts over. It's pretty cool. Like, it gets much better the more players you have. Vidalcan shackles, because Vidalcan are like weird mer people in my imagination, and it works with islands. Board Power Stone is ramp. Domineering Will is a cool little political card, but it has a giant sea monster on it, so that's pretty cool. Engulf the Shore. Also, you know, we can't permanently deal with creatures in this deck, so we have to put them back where they belong. This does that pretty admirably. Sand Squid. Sand Squid has a lot of text for a card that came out of Arcadian Masks. Basically, you can permatap a creature, and it has Island Walk, so combos with Quicksilver Fountain. Giant Oyster, just a perfectly designed Magic card, from the name to the art to the stats. It's basically you get to choose a creature that you're eating, and it slowly eats the creature until it dies. So fucking cool. Thanks Homelands that I think this came out in. Overwhelming Denial. This is a counterspell that has water in the art, I think. Whelming Wave. Nice, cool little tribal wrath. Hedron Archive and Thran Dynamo are ramped to get to our big nerds. Now we're starting to get into the big nerd stuff. Like, we got Muldrifter, which is a water fish, draws cards. Aether Spouts is magic water that blows out a player. This deck doesn't run Cyclonic Rift, mostly because I forgot to pick one up. And I find that this deck has a lot of ways to emulate that without the game-crushing, back-breakingness of a perfectly timed Cyclonic Rift. Not to say that I will miss those lovely hard-ons that I get every time it happens, but you know, you can't always get what you want. Desertion is a counterspell that has water in it. Temporal Manipulation has nothing to do with water, but I really like this art, and I wanted some extra turn spells. I have another one. I have Part the Water Veil, which has water in the name and in the picture. That takes an extra turn, but I felt like this deck could use another one. Gauntlet of Power, Gilded Lotus. Oh, we'll go ahead and talk about the rest of our artifacts. Gauntlet of Power, Gilded Lotus, Caged Sun, and Dreamstone Archive are all just ramp, because we gotta get to our 6, 7, 8, and plus drops. We've got Deep Channel Mentor, which is a cool little. It's a pretty unassuming stats for a 6-mana creature, but it means that all your blue stuff can't be blocked, which is pretty nice. Flow of Ideas. It literally just has a fish person's face on it, and you draw a card for each of your islands, so it seems pretty good too. Crush of Tentacles, which is very cool, because you get to make you get to fucking make an octopus, and it's, look at the art, look at it, just look at it, it's so good. Draining Whelk is a little sea something that eats a creature in the sky and brings it down underwater and makes it bigger. Talked about extra turn cards. River's Rebuke, again, it's one of our Cyclonic Rift XPs. Shipbreaker Kraken, here we go, let's get into some more sea monsters. What does this one even do? When it's monstrous, you lock down 4 creatures, and it becomes like a 10/10. That seems pretty good. Inundate, return all non-blue creatures to their owner's hand. Seems very good. We have 100% blue creatures. Well, yeah, is this time to void? No, oh no. So the Elder Deep Fiend would get returned with Inundate, but we can look over that non-bow. But then we get to cast it again. Phyrexian Jester, as you know, is one of my pet blue cards, and it looks like it could be a sea monster. Diluvian Primordial is made of water. Fleet Swallower. It traumatizes you when it attacks, which is fun, I guess. It's also a fish, like just a fish. Scourge of Fleets. Enters the battlefield, you return each creature your opponent controls. Basically, it engulfs the shorelines, except not for you. And asynchronous, engulf the shorelines. Overflowing Insight seems like a really bad card. However, it does say draw 7 cards on it, so I kind of want to cast this card every day. Bigger stuff. We're almost done. It's not too much left, you guys. Cataract Leviathan. The zombie Leviathan comes in and does the theme of the deck and returns everything. Here we go. We've got Deep Spawn, which is our giant lobster monster. So let's really take a good look at this card. So I don't know why I'm holding this stuff up here when it's over here. I'm used to making my finger feel terrible. So Deep Spawn has Trample, like all blue 6/6s do. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have to sacrifice it unless you mill yourself for 2. Sure. You could pay a blue and it gains Shroud until end of turn, and you tap it and it doesn't untap. So basically it like burrows deep underwater and no one can get it, and it's basically the best win con in any deck ever. Lorthos, the previous general of this deck. He's a giant octopus man that is really kind of backbreaking in 1v1 if you can swing and pay the mana. You're doing all right. Stormtide Leviathan, another one of those cards that like if they can't deal with, you might just win. All their lands are islands, and creatures that flying or island walk can't attack, which negatively affects lots of cards in our deck. However, when you're swinging with an 8/8 and they can't do anything about it, it gets a bit better. Elder Deep Fiend, which is a space octopus. You can have it burst out of someone's chest like an 80s movie, and then you tap 4 permanents. But it's also a 5/6, which is pretty. It's a 5/6 that's really speedy. I don't know. I've never played with this card, but it's cool art. Breaching Leviathan. Tap all non-blue creatures and they don't untap, and you cast it from your hand. It's got sick art. It's punk and a dragon, something fierce. Inkwell Leviathan is our good old robot serpent. It just has a bunch of keywords on it. It kills you. Then we got some X spells. We've got Epiphany at the Drown Yard, which is like fact or fiction-ish. Which is, it's interesting. Entrancing Melody has water in it, and we get to gain control of a creature. And it's probably not as good as just, mind control, but what are you gonna do? It's rare and had water in it. It's from a new set, so I had to play with it. And we got Blue Sun Zenith, which I know isn't a metal planet, but to me it looks underwater. Do I have anything hanging out over here? No. Alright, so that's the deck. It's very simple. There's nothing crazy about it. There's no like crazy combos, or it's got big blue cards, it's got small blue cards, and it's got blue cards that draw cards and return cards to opponents' hands, and water in the art. So yeah, that's the deck.